Nobody is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not the world that smiled at you and whispered that you were special. They lied, not out of malice but out of comfort, because the truth is too sharp for most people to hand to someone they claim to love. So I'll hand it to you instead, right here, right now, with zero apology. Somewhere in the world, someone your exact age is outworking you, outthinking you, outsuffering you in complete silence. No posts, no complaints, no waiting for applause. Just cold, deliberate, ruthless focus. And you're still waiting to feel ready, still waiting for the right moment, still waiting for someone to finally notice the potential you've been sitting on for years. Here's what Machiavelli understood that most men never will. The world does not reward potential. It rewards execution. It rewards power. It rewards the man who moves decisively while everyone else hesitates. Nobody cares about your story. They care about your results. Nobody cares about your pain. They respect your transformation. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. And clarity is the most dangerous weapon a man can possess. Drop a comment right now and type, "I am the weapon," because that's exactly what you're about to become. Number 2, the illusion of loyalty. Let me tell you something about the people around you, and I need you to listen carefully because this single truth will change the way you see every relationship you have ever had. Most of the people in your life are not your allies. They are not your enemies either. They are something far more dangerous. They are comfortable witnesses to your mediocrity. They watch you stay small, and they say nothing because your smallness makes them feel safe. Your stagnation is their validation. Your standstill is their mirror, reflecting back to them that staying average is acceptable. The moment you start rising, the moment you start changing, disciplining yourself, moving in silence and building something real, those same people will feel threatened, not because they hate you, but because your growth is a silent accusation against their stillness. Machiavelli wrote that men are driven by 2 forces, love and fear. But here is what he truly understood beneath those words. Loyalty without power is just sentiment, and sentiment has never built an empire. The people who truly love you will respect your ascent. Everyone else will reveal themselves the moment your trajectory changes, and that revelation is a gift. Stop mourning false loyalty. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into rooms that were never built for the version of you that you are becoming. Stop explaining your vision to people whose minds were never designed to carry it. A lion does not seek the approval of sheep. A strategist does not hand his battle plans to men who have already surrendered. You must begin to see your social circle not through the lens of emotion, but through the lens of utility, growth, and alignment. Who pushes you forward? Who subtly pulls you back? Who celebrates your wins? And who goes quiet when you succeed? These answers will tell you everything you need to know about who deserves a seat at the table you are building. Guard your energy like a fortress. Invest it only where it multiplies. Now type, "Lions don't seek approval" in the comments, and mean it with everything you have. Number 3, the architecture of silence. Here is a truth so powerful that most men spend their entire lives never discovering it. Silence is not weakness. Silence is architecture. It is the invisible structure upon which every great empire, every calculated move, every devastating comeback has ever been built. The man who talks about everything he is doing is not a man of action. He is a man of performance. And performance without substance is just noise dressed in confidence. In the modern world, you are surrounded by noise. Everyone is announcing their goals, posting their hustle, narrating their journey in real time, desperate for validation from strangers who will forget them by tomorrow morning. And while they perform, the truly dangerous man sits in silence, builds in darkness, and emerges only when the work is done and the results speak louder than any caption ever could. Machiavelli understood this with surgical precision. He wrote that a prince must be both the lion and the fox, the lion for those who must be confronted, and the fox for those who must be outmaneuvered. But neither the lion nor the fox announces his next move. Neither broadcasts his hunger. Neither performs his strength for an audience that includes his enemies. Your silence is strategic. Every time you resist the urge to overshare, you are protecting your vision from the contamination of other people's doubts, fears, and limited imaginations. Because the moment you speak your dream into the wrong room, you invite opinions you never asked for, skepticism you don't need, and energy that quietly begins to erode the foundation of your belief before the first brick is even laid. Stop telling people what you are working on. Stop seeking premature validation. Stop performing progress and start producing it. Let your results be the announcement. Let your transformation be the statement. Let the life you build be the only explanation you ever owe anyone. The quieter you become, the more powerful your presence. The less you reveal, the more people sense there is something formidable beneath the surface. Comment, "I build in silence right now," and let that be your new religion. Number 4. The week that rewires everything. I want to talk to you about time, not in the way motivational speakers do, with their soft analogies and comfortable encouragements, but in the way a strategist talks about a battlefield resource that is being stolen from you every single second you spend unconscious of its value. You have been lied to about time. You have been told that change takes years, that transformation is a long, winding, painful road that requires decades of suffering before the results finally show their face. And that lie, that comfortable, pacifying lie, has kept more men trapped in mediocrity than failure ever has. Because when you believe change takes forever, you stop demanding it from yourself immediately. You give yourself permission to start tomorrow, then next week, then after the holidays, then when life calms down. And life never calms down, does it? Here is what the truly powerful understand. 1 week of savage, uncompromising focus can rewire the entire architecture of your psychology. Not because the world changes in 7 days, but because you change. The way you see yourself changes. The standard you hold yourself to changes. The voice inside your head, that weak, negotiating, excuse-manufacturing voice, begins to lose its power the moment you prove to it, through action, that you are no longer listening. Machiavelli understood that the nature of men is not fixed, it is malleable. It bends under pressure, it reshapes under discipline, it transforms under the consistent application of focused will. And a single week, 7 days of deliberate, calculated, ruthless self-investment is enough pressure to begin that reshaping permanently. So what does that week look like? It looks like waking up before the world demands anything from you, and using that silence to invest in your mind, your body, and your strategy. It looks like cutting off every input that weakens your psychology, the mindless scrolling, the toxic conversations, the entertainment that numbs you instead of fueling you. It looks like treating your body as the instrument of power that it is, feeding it, training it, resting it with intention rather than exhaustion. It looks like working on your goals not when you feel inspired, but especially when you do not. Because discipline practiced in the absence of motivation is the highest form of self-mastery. It looks like ending each night with a ruthless audit of your day. What moved you forward? What held you back? What you will execute differently tomorrow? 7 days, 168 hours. And if you approach each one with the cold, focused mentality of a man who has decided, truly decided, that he is no longer available for a small life, the person you are by the end of that week will be unrecognizable to the person you are right now. That transformation does not stop at 7 days. It compounds. It accelerates. It becomes the new baseline from which every future version of you is built. Type 7 days new man in the comments right now, because your week starts today, not tomorrow. Number 5, the philosophy of cold detachment. Now we enter the territory that separates the truly powerful from everyone else. And this is the part most people are not ready to hear, because it requires you to surgically remove something that society has spent your entire life convincing you is a virtue. It requires you to detach, not from life, not from ambition, not from the people who genuinely deserve your presence, but from outcomes you cannot control, from opinions that were never yours to carry, from emotional reactions that bleed your power dry before you ever step onto the battlefield. The modern world has weaponized emotion against you. It has taught you to react, to respond, to perform your feelings publicly, to measure your worth through the validation of others, to collapse when criticized and to soar only when applauded. And every time you obey that programming, every time you let an external event dictate your internal state, you hand your power to something outside yourself. You become a puppet operated by circumstance, and a puppet, no matter how talented, no matter how intelligent, no matter how full of potential, will always dance to someone else's rhythm. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is like a river. When it floods, it destroys everything in its path. But the wise man builds embankments before the flood arrives. He does not wait to react to the storm. He prepares his fortress in the calm, so that when chaos comes, and chaos always comes, he stands unmoved while lesser men are swept away. That is cold detachment. That is the philosophy of the untouchable man. It is not indifference. Do not confuse detachment with emptiness. The detached man feels everything. He simply refuses to be governed by what he feels. He observes his emotions the way a general observes the movements of an enemy army, with sharp attention, strategic awareness, and absolute refusal to be baited into a reaction that compromises his position. When someone disrespects you, the weak man explodes. And in that explosion, he reveals every vulnerability he possesses. The powerful man goes quiet. He files the information. He adjusts his strategy. He responds only when the response serves his purpose, not when his ego demands satisfaction. When a situation falls apart, when the plan fails, when the opportunity disappears, when the person you trusted proves themselves unworthy, the undisciplined man drowns in the emotion of the moment. The Machiavellian man asks one question, and one question only. What is my next move? Because forward momentum is the antidote to every form of psychological collapse. Pain is temporary. Strategic clarity is permanent. And the man who can access clarity in the middle of chaos is the most dangerous man in any room he enters. Cold detachment is not built in comfort. It is forged in the moments when everything in you wants to react, wants to break, wants to scream at the injustice of a situation, and you choose stillness instead. You choose strategy over emotion. You choose the long game over the cheap satisfaction of an immediate reaction. Every time you make that choice, you deposit something into the account of your personal power, and that account over time becomes unassailable. This is the psychology of men who move mountains quietly, men who win wars before they are ever officially declared, men who walk into rooms and shift the energy without saying a single word, because their inner world is so disciplined, so fortified, so ruthlessly governed, that it radiates outward as an almost magnetic, undeniable force. That is what you are building. That is what this channel is about. Not motivation that evaporates by Monday morning, but a permanent, unshakable, cold restructuring of the way you think, move, and position yourself in this world. Comment "Cold Mind, Iron Will" right now, and let every person who reads it know exactly what kind of man you are becoming. Number 6. The Predator's Mindset. Listen to me very carefully now, because what I am about to tell you is not taught in schools, not preached in churches, and not whispered by the comfortable voices that surround you daily. It is the raw, unfiltered operating system of every man who has ever seized power, built an empire, or transformed himself from nothing into something that the world was forced to acknowledge and respect. You must develop the mindset of a predator, not in the primitive, violent sense that small minds will immediately rush to misinterpret, but in the strategic, biological, and psychological sense of a creature that is always observing, always calculating, always moving with intention, and never, not for a single moment, operating from a position of desperation, reaction, or unconscious drift. The prey animal lives in a constant state of anxiety, always scanning for threats, always reactive, always one sudden movement away from panic. Its entire existence is defined by what it fears. But the predator moves differently. The predator is calm, frighteningly calm. It surveys the terrain before it moves. It conserves its energy for the moment that matters. It does not chase wildly. It positions itself so that what it wants eventually comes within reach. And when it strikes with total commitment and zero hesitation. That is the psychology you must internalize. That is the frequency you must begin to operate on. Machiavelli, in his most ruthless and honest observations of human nature, identified something that polite society refuses to acknowledge. The world is not a level playing field governed by fairness and moral reward. It is a living, breathing ecosystem of competing interests, shifting alliances, hidden agendas, and raw power dynamics that operate beneath every surface-level interaction you will ever have. The man who pretends otherwise, who floats through life assuming goodwill, assuming fairness, assuming that being a good person is sufficient armor against the predatory nature of the world, that man will be consumed, not by villains, not by obvious enemies, but by the slow, invisible erosion of opportunity, respect, and power that happens to every man who refuses to see the world as it actually is, rather than as he wishes it to be. Seeing clearly is not cynicism. It is survival, it is strategy, it is the first and most foundational act of self-respect. When you develop the predator's mindset, you stop being surprised by betrayal because you read the signs long before the knife arrives. You stop being devastated by rejection because you understand that every no is simply a redirection toward a more aligned path. You stop bleeding energy into situations, people, and environments that were never designed to elevate you because your vision is sharp enough now to distinguish between what feeds your power and what quietly drains it. You become a student of human behavior, not to manipulate in the petty, small-spirited sense, but to understand the invisible forces that govern why people do what they do, want what they want, and fear what they fear. Because the man who understands human nature holds a compass that most people never even knew existed. You begin to move through the world with a different kind of awareness, a heightened, almost predatory perception of opportunity, of leverage, of timing. You notice what others miss. You read rooms that others walk through blindly. You see the chessboard when everyone else is playing checkers, reacting move by move with no vision beyond the immediate moment. And perhaps, most powerfully, you stop leaking your energy into the performance of strength and begin to embody it so completely, so naturally, so effortlessly that it requires no announcement, no display, and no validation from the audience around you. Real power is never loud. Real power is the quiet certainty of a man who knows exactly what he is capable of, exactly where he is going, and exactly what he will and will not tolerate on the path between here and there. Develop that mindset. Protect that mindset. Feed it daily with knowledge, with discipline, with the cold and honest examination of yourself and the world you are navigating. Because the predator does not take days off. The predator does not negotiate with weakness. The predator evolves, constantly, ruthlessly, and without apology. Type, "I think, therefore I dominate" in the comments, and declare to yourself and to this entire community that you have chosen to see the world clearly, finally, and permanently. Number 7. The economy of energy. Everything you are, everything you will become, every empire you will build, every transformation you will undergo, every battle you will win, all of it, without exception, runs on a single finite resource that most men squander so carelessly, so unconsciously, so completely, that they arrive at the end of their days wondering why their potential never materialized into the life they imagined. That resource is not money. It is not time, though time is its closest companion. It is not talent, though talent amplifies it enormously. That resource is energy, your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy. And the way you manage it, invest it, protect it, and deploy it will determine with absolute mathematical certainty whether you rise or whether you remain exactly where you are, year after year, wondering why the gap between your dreams and your reality refuses to close. Most men have never been taught to think about energy as a currency. They spend it impulsively, the way a man with no financial discipline spends money, on whatever demands it loudest in the moment, on whatever feels most urgent, most emotionally charged, most socially expected. They spend it on arguments that produce nothing. They spend it on relationships that drain without replenishing. They spend it on anxiety about futures they cannot control and regret about pasts they cannot change. They spend it on the endless, exhausting performance of being whoever the room requires them to be, shape-shifting constantly to meet the expectations, comfort, and approval of people who will never fully invest in their vision. And at the end of the day, when the moment comes to actually build, to sit down, to focus, to create, to execute the work that would genuinely change their lives, they have nothing left. The account is empty, the tank is dry, and they tell themselves they are tired, when the truth is they are simply bankrupt, energetically bankrupt from 1,000 invisible withdrawals they never stopped to examine. Machiavelli understood resource management not merely in the context of armies and treasuries, but in the deeper context of human will. He understood that the prince who exhausts himself on trivial battles arrives depleted to the wars that actually matter. That the leader who gives his attention to everything gives his power to nothing. That strategic conservation, knowing when to engage and when to deliberately withhold, is not laziness, it is genius. It is the discipline of a man who understands that his energy is not infinite and therefore treats every expenditure of it as a conscious, calculated investment rather than an unconscious, reflexive leak. So beginning today, right now, in this moment, you must conduct an honest and ruthless audit of where your energy is going. Map every drain. Identify every person, habit, environment, and thought pattern that withdraws from your reserves without depositing anything of value in return. The toxic conversation you keep engaging in. The social media consumption that masquerades as connection but delivers only comparison and inadequacy. The friendships maintained out of history rather than genuine alignment. The self-defeating internal dialogue that replays failures on a loop and calls it reflection. The environments that shrink your thinking and compress your vision into something small enough to fit the comfort of people who stopped growing years ago. Every single one of these is a leak in your vessel, and a vessel that leaks, no matter how much you pour into it, will never fill. Seal the leaks. Guard the gates. Become ruthlessly intentional about what and who receives the gift of your presence, your attention, your time, and your irreplaceable life force. Invest your energy exclusively into what builds you, what challenges you, what stretches the ceiling of what you believe is possible for your life. Your body, train it like it is the most important asset you own, because it is. Your mind, feed it with knowledge that sharpens your thinking and expands your strategic capacity. Your craft, pour into it with the obsessive, patient dedication of a man who understands that mastery is simply the compounded result of energy invested consistently over time. When you begin to manage your energy with this level of intentionality, something almost miraculous begins to happen. You find that you have more focus, more drive, more creative capacity, more resilience, more presence. Not because you have changed your circumstances, but because you have stopped hemorrhaging your power into things that were never worthy of it. You become concentrated, potent, formidable. A man of focused energy is one of the most unstoppable forces that nature has ever produced. And the world, whether it admits it or not, moves aside for that man. Comment, "My energy is my empire," right now, because the moment you begin to treat it that way, everything around you will begin to reflect that truth back to you. Number 8, the reinvention protocol. There comes a moment in every man's life, a specific, unmistakable, often terrifying moment, where he stands at the edge of who he has been and feels, somewhere deep beneath the noise of his daily existence, the violent, uncomfortable, undeniable pull toward who he is capable of becoming. Most men feel that pull and retreat. They feel it and immediately begin negotiating with it, rationalizing why now is not the right time, why their current circumstances make transformation impossible, why the version of themselves they secretly hunger to become is reserved for men with better starting points, better resources, better luck, better everything. And in that retreat, in that single act of turning away from their own potential, they make the most expensive decision of their entire lives. They choose the familiar prison of who they are over the terrifying freedom of who they could be. And they will spend the rest of their lives decorating that prison, making it comfortable, making it explainable, making it look like a choice rather than a surrender. I am talking to the man who is done surrendering. I am talking to the man who feels that pull right now, in this moment, watching this video, and is ready, truly ready, not performatively ready, not inspiration of the moment ready, but bone deep, decision already made ready, to begin the process of radical, deliberate, Machiavellian self-reinvention. Because reinvention is not an accident, it is not a feeling, it is not something that happens to you when the stars align and life finally cooperates. It is a protocol. It is a cold, structured, ruthlessly executed sequence of decisions, behaviors, and identity shifts that you impose upon yourself with the same strategic precision that Machiavelli prescribed for the conquest of new territories. And make no mistake, reinventing yourself is a conquest. You are conquering the old version of you, the version shaped by other people's expectations, by childhood limitations, by environments that compressed your thinking, by failures you internalized as identity rather than information, by a self-image built not from truth, but from the accumulated opinions of people who never fully saw you. That version must be dismantled, not hated. It survived, and survival deserves acknowledgement, but dismantled nonetheless, with clarity and without sentimentality, because you cannot build the new architecture of your life on a foundation designed for someone you no longer intend to be. The reinvention protocol begins with identity, not with habits, not with routines, not with morning schedules, though all of those will follow. It begins with the internal declaration, made privately and with absolute conviction, that you are no longer the man you were yesterday. That the story you have been telling yourself about your limitations, your past, your worthiness, and your capacity, that story is officially closed. A new one begins today. From that identity shift, everything else cascades. Your standards rise because your self-image demands higher standards. Your habits change because your identity requires different behaviors. Your circle evolves because the new version of you naturally gravitates toward environments and people that match his frequency. Your relationship with discipline transforms from something you force upon yourself to something you pursue willingly, hungrily, because you understand that discipline is not a cage. It is the very mechanism through which the man you are becoming is built, brick by brick, day by day, in the quiet and unglamorous spaces where real transformation has always lived. Reinvention is not comfortable. It will cost you relationships that cannot survive your growth. It will cost you the comfort of familiarity, the ease of old patterns, the social safety of remaining predictable and therefore unthreatening to the people around you. It will require you to sit with uncertainty, to act without guaranteed outcomes, to build faith in yourself not through reassurance from others, but through the daily, compounding evidence of your own disciplined action. But on the other side of that discomfort lives a version of you that is so far beyond what you currently believe is possible that if you could see him clearly right now, his composure, his power, his peace, his results, the way he moves through the world with quiet, unshakable authority, you would not hesitate for a single second. You would start immediately. So start immediately. Type, "I am under construction" in the comments, because the most powerful buildings in the world all looked like chaos before they looked like cathedrals. Number 9. The Code of the Untouchable. There is a certain category of man that exists in this world, rare, quietly formidable, almost mythological in the way he carries himself, that I want you to study, understand, and ultimately become. You have felt his presence before, even if you could not name what you were feeling. He walks into a room and something shifts, not because he is the loudest, not because he is the most physically imposing, not because he demands attention through performance or aggression or the desperate social maneuvering of a man who needs to be seen. He is untouchable, and untouchable is not a status that is given, purchased, inherited, or bestowed by the approval of others. It is a code. a privately held, ruthlessly maintained, non-negotiable internal code that governs every decision he makes, every boundary he holds, every alliance he forms, and every situation he chooses to engage with or deliberately walk away from. And that code, once internalized completely, becomes the invisible armor that no circumstance, no betrayal, no failure, and no opinion can penetrate. Machiavelli's deepest insight was not about politics or power in the conventional sense. It was about the architecture of the sovereign self. The man who is sovereign over his own mind, his own emotions, his own reactions, and his own direction is the man who becomes truly untouchable. Because you cannot manipulate a man who needs nothing from you. You cannot threaten a man who has already made peace with loss. You cannot diminish a man whose self-worth is generated entirely from within rather than borrowed from the validation of the external world. The code of the untouchable man is built on several unbreakable pillars. He never explains himself to those who are not entitled to his reasoning. He never chases, not people, not opportunities, not validation, because he understands that desperation is the most repulsive and most exploitable energy a man can broadcast. He keeps his counsel private and his movements deliberate. He responds to disrespect not with anger, not with retaliation, but with the most devastating response available to a powerful man: withdrawal of his presence and permanent adjustment of his positioning. He holds his standards absolutely, because he understands that every time a man compromises his standard for the comfort of a moment, he sends a signal to himself and to the world about what he believes he deserves. And what a man believes he deserves is precisely and always what he will receive. He invests in himself with religious consistency, his mind, his body, his skills, his network, his finances, because he understands that self-investment is not selfishness. It is the foundation upon which everything he will ever give to the world must be built. Become that man, not someday, not when you feel ready, now. Drop "I live by the code" in the comments and understand that from this moment forward, that is not just a phrase, it is a declaration of the standard you have chosen to hold yourself to permanently and without exception. Number 10. The beginning of your reign. This is not the end of a video. This is the beginning of a reign. Your reign. Built in silence, forged in discipline, architected with the cold precision of a man who has finally decided that the life he was living was beneath the man he was born to become. Everything we have walked through together in this video, the cold truth that nobody is coming to save you, the illusion of loyalty that kept you small, the architecture of silence that protects your vision, the 7 days that rewire your psychology, the philosophy of cold detachment that makes you untouchable, the predator's mindset that sharpens your perception, the economy of energy that concentrates your power, the reinvention protocol that dismantles the old you and constructs something formidable in its place, and the code of the untouchable man that becomes your invisible armor. None of it means anything if it lives only in this video and dies the moment you close the screen. It must transfer into your blood, into your daily decisions, into the way you wake up tomorrow morning and every morning after that with the quiet, unshakable certainty of a man who has chosen himself completely and without apology. Machiavelli did not write for the masses. He wrote for the few, the rare, hungry, clear-eyed men who were willing to see the world as it truly is and position themselves accordingly. This channel exists for those men, for you. The journey does not end here. It accelerates from here. Every video on this channel is another weapon placed in your hands, another layer of strategic armor added to your psychology, another step taken toward the version of you that the world will one day be forced to reckon with. So make the decision right now, in this moment, that you are that man, that you were always that man, and that starting today, nothing, no person, no circumstance, no failure, no opinion will ever convince you otherwise. Drop "My reign begins now" in the comments, because the world needs to hear it, and more importantly, you need to say it. And if this video reached something real inside you, if it cut through the noise and spoke directly to the man you are fighting to become, then hit that like button, subscribe to Machiavellian Mind, and turn on notifications. Because what is coming next will change you in ways you are not yet ready to imagine. The throne is waiting. Take it.